What if everything you've been told about managing anxiety is completely wrong? For years, maybe decades, you've been told to breathe through it, distract yourself, think positive thoughts, meditate your worries away. And yet, here you are, still waking up at 3 in the morning with a chest full of dread, still rehearsing conversations that haven't happened, still imagining worst-case scenarios that almost never come true. The problem isn't that you're weak, and it isn't that your brain is broken. The real problem is something far more dangerous. Your mind was never trained. You were given techniques but never architecture, advice but never discipline. And without structure, the mind becomes its own enemy. 2,000 years ago, the Stoics understood this with brutal clarity. They didn't try to eliminate anxiety with comfort. They dismantled it through discipline, through daily mental practices forged in war, exile, slavery, and political betrayal. Practices that transformed emperors, philosophers, and even slaves into people who could face chaos without fear. Today you'll learn 7 Stoic habits that do exactly that. Not motivational tricks, not temporary relief, but a mental framework designed to dismantle anxiety at its root. And the most powerful of these habits, the one Marcus Aurelius considered his final armor, appears near the end. So watch carefully. The one habit you skip might be the one you needed most. Almost 2,000 years ago, a man sat alone in a military tent at the edge of the Roman Empire. Outside, barbarian armies gathered in the darkness. Winter winds cut across a frozen river. Disease was spreading through his legions. Political betrayal waited for him back in Rome, and the weight of an entire civilization rested on his shoulders. That man was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of the most powerful military force on earth. But in that tent, he wasn't writing military orders. He was writing to himself, not speeches, not philosophy for the public. Private notes, a conversation between a man and his own mind. Those writings later became the book we now call Meditations. And in one passage, Marcus Aurelius wrote a line that has echoed across 2,000 years. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Think about that. The most powerful man in the world, surrounded by real threats, real enemies, real suffering, and his greatest battle was not on the battlefield. It was inside his own mind. That is exactly where your battle is being fought right now. Anxiety is not simply a medical issue for most people. It is a philosophical one. It is the natural result of a mind that has been left unguarded, undisciplined, and untrained. The Stoics built an entire system to solve this problem, and the first habit, the foundation of everything that follows, is this. Habit 1, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was born a slave, began his most famous work with a sentence that changes everything. Some things are within our control and some things are not. That may sound simple, but it is the foundation of Stoic psychology. And once you truly understand it, anxiety begins to lose its grip. Because almost all anxiety comes from confusing these two categories. Here is what is within your control: your effort, your actions, your judgments, your character. And here is what is not within your control: other people's opinions, economic shifts, the weather, your reputation, the past, the future. Most people spend enormous energy trying to control the second list. They worry about what someone might think of them. They replay conversations in their head. They obsess over outcomes that have not happened yet. They imagine disasters that may never come. And every minute spent doing this creates the same neurological response. Your brain interprets uncertainty as danger. The amygdala activates. Cortisol floods the body. The stress response triggers again and again. But here's the brutal truth. All that worry changes nothing. You are exhausting your mind, fighting battles that were never yours to win. The Stoics proposed something radical. Instead of trying to control everything, Control only what is actually yours, nothing more, nothing less. Here is a simple daily practice. Tomorrow morning, write down everything that is worrying you, everything. Then draw a line down the page. On the left side, write mine. On the right side, write not mine. Now categorize each concern. Your effort at work, mine. Your preparation for a presentation, mine. Your boss's opinion of you, not mine. The economy, not mine. What someone said yesterday, not mine. Now comes the hardest part. Once something is placed in the not mine column, you release it completely, not because it doesn't matter, but because it was never yours to carry. Most people live their entire lives trapped in the not mine column. They burn their energy on things they cannot influence, and they never realize the freedom that was available all along. The Stoics called this the first freedom. Freedom not from difficulty, but from unnecessary suffering. And once you begin practicing it, something remarkable happens. The chaos outside your mind stays outside. But this is only the beginning, because even when you stop fighting the uncontrollable, your mind still has another dangerous habit. It starts telling stories, and those stories can create fear far more powerful than reality itself. That's where the second Stoic habit comes in. Part 2. The war inside your mind, understanding what you can control, is powerful, but it doesn't solve everything. Because anxiety has another weapon, your own thoughts. Even after you understand the Stoic principle of control, your mind will still generate fear. It will still whisper possibilities, still imagine humiliation, still predict failure, still replay mistakes from years ago. This is the second battlefield, not the world, your thinking. And the Stoics discovered something extraordinary about the human mind that modern psychology only confirmed thousands of years later. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. Habit 2. The observer mind, Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. But Marcus took this idea even further. He understood something that most people never realize. Thoughts are not commands, they are events. They are simply things that happen inside the mind. But most people make a catastrophic mistake. They treat every thought as truth. A thought appears, what if I fail? And instantly the body reacts. Heart rate rises, breathing shortens, muscles tense. Another thought appears, they're probably judging me. And suddenly the mind begins building a story. You replay past moments, you imagine future humiliation. You feel embarrassment before anything has even happened. Within minutes, your nervous system is reacting to a world that exists nowhere except inside your head. Modern psychology calls this cognitive fusion. It means you have fused with your thoughts. You are no longer observing them. You are living inside them. The Stoics practiced the opposite. What they developed is something modern therapists now call cognitive diffusion. Stepping back, watching thoughts instead of becoming them. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. Whenever something disturbed him, he would ask himself a simple question: what is this thing in reality? Not the story, not the interpretation, the reality. For example, someone criticizes you. Your mind says, they hate me. But the Stoic response is different. Strip away the story. What actually happened? Words were spoken. That's it. Nothing more. The suffering appears only when interpretation enters. Your mind builds meaning, and meaning becomes emotion. This is why the Stoics trained themselves to become observers, not prisoners of thought. Observers. Here is the practical technique. When an anxious thought appears, don't fight it, don't suppress it, don't argue with it. Instead, say this sentence quietly to yourself: I notice I am having the thought that, then finish the sentence. I notice I am having the thought that I might embarrass myself. I notice I am having the thought that something bad will happen. I notice I am having the thought that people don't respect me. This simple shift creates space. You are no longer inside the thought. You are observing it. And that tiny gap changes everything, because inside that gap is freedom. The thought may still appear, but it no longer controls you. It becomes like weather passing across the sky. Storms come, storms go, but the sky remains untouched. You are not the storm, you are the sky. And once you realize this, anxiety begins to weaken. But the Stoics didn't stop there. They developed a habit even more powerful, one that seems completely counterintuitive. Instead of running from fear, they walked directly toward it. Habit 3, negative visualization. Seneca wrote something that shocks modern readers: rehearse adversity. Think about that. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid imagining bad things. They avoid thinking about loss. They avoid thinking about failure. They avoid thinking about death. The Stoics did the opposite. They deliberately imagined the worst possible scenarios, not to scare themselves, but to destroy fear. This practice was called premeditatio malorum, the premeditatio of difficulties, because anxiety thrives in vagueness. When the mind says, "What if everything goes wrong?" that fear grows enormous, shapeless, undefined, terrifying. But when you force yourself to ask a different question, what is the worst that could actually happen? Something surprising occurs. The fear shrinks because now it has a shape. For example, you fear failing a presentation. So imagine it clearly. You stumble over words. People look unimpressed. Someone asks a difficult question. Your mind goes blank for a moment. Uncomfortable? Yes, but now continue the scenario. You recover. You answer imperfectly. The meeting ends. Life continues. Nothing catastrophic happened. Your fear was not the event. Your fear was the imagination of the event. Modern psychology confirms this. A technique called exposure therapy works exactly the same way. When people gradually confront feared situations, the brain learns something important. This is survivable. And once the brain learns something is survivable, the fear response weakens. The Stoics discovered this 2,000 years ago. Here is how you apply it. Every morning, spend 5 minutes imagining one possible difficulty you might face that day. A conflict, a rejection, a mistake, a setback. See it clearly. Then ask yourself a powerful Stoic question. If this happens, will I still be able to act with courage, patience, and integrity? The answer is almost always yes. And that realization builds psychological armor, because when adversity actually appears, you have already faced it once. In your mind, you are no longer shocked, you are prepared. Most people try to avoid darkness. The Stoics stepped into it deliberately, and in doing so, they discovered something remarkable. Most of what we fear is only a shadow. But even this is not enough, because anxiety has another hiding place, not in the future, not in imagined disasters, but in something far more subtle, time itself. Habit 4, the present moment anchor. Marcus Aurelius wrote something devastatingly simple: confine yourself to the present. Read that again. Confine yourself to the present. Because anxiety cannot exist here. Anxiety requires time travel. It needs the future. What if something goes wrong tomorrow? Or it needs the past? I shouldn't have said that. I should have done better. But the present moment, this exact second, is free from both. Right now, in this moment, ask yourself something honestly. Is there a real danger here? Not imagined, not predicted. Right now, in this exact breath. For most people, the answer is no. Yet the body reacts as if danger is everywhere. Why? Because the mind lives almost entirely outside the present. It lives in memory and prediction. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. Even while ruling an empire, he constantly reminded himself to return to the moment he was in, because the present moment is the only place where life actually happens, and the only place where action is possible. Think about how much of your anxiety exists in the future. Future conversations, future problems, future disasters. Your mind runs simulations endlessly, but the truth is brutal. Most of those imagined futures never happen, and the ones that do happen are rarely as bad as the mind predicted. The Stoics trained themselves to break this cycle. They used a simple mental anchor. Whenever the mind drifted into fear, they returned attention to what was directly in front of them: the breath, the task, the physical environment. Here is the practical exercise. 3 times a day, stop for 60 seconds, just 60, and notice 5 things you can physically sense: what you see, what you hear, what you feel, what you smell, what you taste. This forces the mind back into reality. It interrupts the spiral of imagination. Neuroscience calls this shifting attention away from the default mode network, the brain system responsible for rumination and overthinking. When attention returns to the senses, anxiety weakens. Because anxiety cannot survive in pure awareness. It requires narrative, story, prediction. Remove those, and the storm calms. The Stoics understood this. They knew the mind could either wander endlessly or stand firmly in the present moment. But even mastering the present is not the final step. Because anxiety has one more root, a deeper one. It grows from attachment, from the belief that life must go exactly the way we want, and when reality disagrees with us, the mind revolts. Part 3. The final armor. You now understand something most people never realize. Your anxiety is not caused by the world. It is caused by how your mind relates to the world. You've learned to separate yourself from your thoughts. You've learned to confront fear instead of running from it. You've learned to return to the present moment. But there is still a deeper source of anxiety that must be addressed: expectation. The belief that life must unfold exactly the way you want it to. When reality violates that expectation, the mind resists, and resistance creates suffering. The Stoics had a solution for this, one that is both radical and liberating. Habit 5. The discipline of desire. Epictetus once wrote, "Do not demand that things happen as you wish. Wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well." This idea is difficult for many people to accept, because we are raised to believe that happiness comes from controlling outcomes. Achieve the right career, earn the right income, gain the right recognition, secure the right future, and then peace will finally arrive. But the Stoics saw through this illusion. They understood something that modern psychology continues to confirm. Anxiety is not caused by events. It is caused by the gap between reality and expectation. When you believe something must happen, the mind becomes fragile. If the outcome changes, anxiety floods in. Consider how many invisible demands exist in your mind right now. This meeting must go well. They must respect me. My plans must work. The future must be safe. Every one of these demands is a silent war against reality, and reality wins every time. The Stoic solution was not passive acceptance. It was something much stronger. They called it amor fati, the love of fate. Not tolerating what happens, loving what happens. Loving what happens. Seeing every event, even the painful ones, as part of the training that shapes your character. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything thrown into it." Think about that image. The Stoic mind is like a fire. Obstacles are not threats, they are fuel. Difficulty becomes strength. Failure becomes wisdom. Loss becomes perspective. When you adopt this mindset, something remarkable happens. Anxiety loses its foundation, because instead of fearing what might happen, you become ready to use whatever happens. Nothing is wasted. Everything becomes material for growth. Here is the practice. Each evening, reflect on one difficult moment from your day, a frustration, a mistake, an unexpected setback. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask a Stoic question: "How can this make me stronger?" This simple shift transforms adversity from an enemy into a teacher. And when adversity becomes a teacher, fear begins to fade. But philosophy alone cannot build resilience. The Stoics understood something essential about the human mind. Understanding without action creates weakness. True strength must be practiced, which leads to the next habit. Habit 6. Voluntary hardship. Seneca gave an unusual piece of advice. He suggested that people deliberately practice discomfort. At first, this sounds strange. Why would anyone willingly choose hardship? Because the fear of hardship is what feeds anxiety. When comfort becomes a necessity, life becomes fragile. The smallest disruption feels like a crisis. But when the mind becomes familiar with difficulty, fear loses its grip. The Stoics called this voluntary hardship, deliberately exposing yourself to controlled discomfort, not to punish yourself, but to build resilience. Consider what happens when you always choose comfort. You avoid difficult conversations, you avoid physical challenge, you avoid social risk. Your world becomes smaller. Your tolerance for discomfort shrinks, and anxiety grows, because anything unfamiliar now feels threatening. Voluntary hardship reverses this process. You begin training yourself to handle discomfort. Cold showers, physical exercise, speaking honestly when it would be easier to stay silent, taking responsibility when others avoid it. None of these actions are extreme, but they strengthen something inside you, your tolerance for difficulty. Modern psychology calls this stress inoculation. Gradually exposing yourself to manageable stress increases resilience. The brain learns that discomfort is survivable, and once something is survivable, it is no longer terrifying. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. Despite being emperor, he lived simply. He rose before dawn. He trained his body even when sick. He accepted hardship because he knew something profound. A person who has never tested themselves cannot trust themselves, and lack of self-trust breeds anxiety. But once you repeatedly prove that you can endure difficulty, your confidence grows. Not arrogant confidence, quiet confidence, the kind that comes from evidence. Evidence that you are stronger than your fear. Begin small. Choose one voluntary discomfort each week. Cold water instead of hot, walking instead of driving, speaking truth instead of avoiding conflict. Each action expands your resilience. Each challenge strengthens your mind. And slowly the things that once triggered anxiety begin to lose their power, because you have become harder to break. But there is one final practice, one that ties everything together. Without it, these habits fade. With it, they become permanent. Habit 7. The Daily Philosophical Review. Marcus Aurelius wrote something remarkable. Nowhere can a person find a quieter retreat than in their own soul. But he didn't mean retreat as escape. He meant reflection. Every day, Marcus Aurelius examined his own mind, not occasionally, daily. The Stoics believed that without reflection, the mind drifts. It reacts instead of choosing. It absorbs the chaos of the world, and anxiety fills the space where discipline should exist. So they practiced something called the philosophical review, a daily mental audit. Every evening, Seneca would review his entire day. He would ask himself 3 questions. What did I do well? What did I do poorly? What can I do better tomorrow? This wasn't self-criticism, it was self-training. Imagine how powerful this practice becomes over time. Instead of repeating the same mistakes for years, you learn from each day. You adjust. You improve. Slowly, deliberately, your mind becomes stronger, more disciplined, more stable, and anxiety has fewer places to hide. Modern neuroscience confirms the power of reflection. Structured self-review strengthens the brain regions responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making. The Stoics discovered this long before brain scans existed. They simply observed the mind, and they trained it. Here is the daily practice. Each evening, spend 5 minutes reviewing your day. Ask yourself, where did anxiety appear today? How did I respond? What would a wiser version of myself have done? Then close the day with one final thought. What did today teach me? Because every difficulty carries a lesson. And when you see life as training instead of punishment, the mind becomes resilient, calm, focused, unbreakable. The Stoic architecture of an unshakable mind. You now possess 7 Stoic habits that dismantle anxiety at its root. The dichotomy of control, focus only on what is yours. The observer mind, watch thoughts without becoming them. Negative visualization, face fear before it arrives. The present moment, anchor, return to reality instead of imagination. The discipline of desire, align expectations with reality. Voluntary hardship, train resilience through chosen discomfort. The daily philosophical review, refine your mind every day. These are not ideas to admire, they are tools. Weapons against the chaos inside the mind, but tools only work when they are used. The Stoics did not become resilient through reading philosophy. They practiced it every morning, every evening, every challenge. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire during plague, war, and betrayal. Yet his writings reveal something extraordinary. Not a man free from hardship, but a man whose mind could not be conquered. That same strength is available to you. Not instantly, not effortlessly, but through discipline. Because anxiety is not your identity, it is a pattern, and patterns can be broken. One habit, one day, one decision at a time. Choose one Stoic habit from this video. Practice it for the next 30 days. Not perfectly, consistently. Transformation does not come from inspiration. It comes from repetition. And if this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. Which habit challenged your thinking the most? Write it in the comments. Because naming a commitment makes it real. And if you want to continue building a mind that the chaos of the world cannot break, subscribe. This channel exists for one purpose: to help you master your mind, rebuild your discipline, refocus your life, and rise above the noise. Because the strongest fortress you will ever build is the one inside your own mind. Become the master of your mind. Rebuild, refocus, rise.